Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner of the Rittner Floral School in Boston, Mass. It's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. We've got a neat little demonstration planned for you. I think you're going to really enjoy it. St. Patrick's Day is coming here in the greater Boston area, and we love this particular holiday because it features the white, the green, and we can do all kinds of very, very interesting designs for the holiday. And what we thought we would do in this brief demonstration is show you a way that you can come up with some very, very contemporary St. Patrick's Day designs that are quick and easy to do. Now, the first thing involved in it is to try to find a container that's interesting. Notice this particular base. It is very, very strange, isn't it? This is a container that looks like it came out of my high school geometry class. It's kind of an oddball container with all kinds of weird shapes. But sometimes it is the choice of the container that helps define a strange design or an oddball contemporary kind of styling. So go through your containers and look around and see what you can find, because sometimes finding an oddball kind of container certainly can help in terms of defining your designing and coming up with an interesting look. Now, this is St. Patrick's Day, and so we're going to feature one of my favorite flowers, bells of Ireland. Isn't this stuff neat? It's absolutely great stuff to play with. It comes in larger size, it comes in shorter size. The one thing you do have to be careful about with your bells of Ireland is when you do get them in, that you always strip the foliage and flowers from the lower stems, cut the stems, put them in water. This loves hydration, it loves water. Ideally, the best way to use bells of Ireland is in water-based designing, and we have other videos showing that. Today we're going to be using it in a foam base, which means that essentially our design will last for about a day. It'll give us a pretty effect and we can come up with something interesting with it, but it's not going to be the most long-lived design that there is. By taking our bells of Ireland, we can use it to create linear effect and to come up with a very, very interesting kind of shaping to our piece. So notice I've taken one bells of Ireland, stuck it into my foam here, sticking it up over on the side, and it definitely is creating height on my design. Because my foam is coming out on this particular side of the base, I'm going to play with a little bit more of my bells of Ireland, placing it here. Again, this is great for about a day. You'll enjoy this design, have a nice memory of it, and it's great if you want to have something that might enhance your home during this particular holiday. Notice that by taking two, it's definitely defining it. The thing I love about bells of Ireland is it gives a very, very contemporary kind of feeling to our designing. Just because it's a traditional holiday doesn't mean to say that we have to go with little roundy moundies on this. We can come up with all kinds of things that feel more high style. And notice that through the use of a few bells of Ireland here in a rather wild looking container, we definitely are making a statement that this is something that's going to be a little bit more contemporary, a little bit more high style, a more interesting kind of piece. Okay, now what else do we have to play with? Well, we have a few other flowers that we want to work into this design. And one of my favorite flowers, Fuji's. Isn't this a beautiful flower? Fuji Mums, they are absolutely great. Now traditionally we get them in white, we get them in yellow, but we're getting these amazing green ones lately, and so we thought it would be kind of fun to use a couple of our Fujis to provide a focal kind of point to our design. They fill space very, very quickly. They also are a very, very good keeping kind of flower. And so taking a few of our Fujis and working some of them in here, just with a couple of flowers, notice how this is helping develop the design, making it a little bit more interesting. Now, so far I've got green defined through my bells of Ireland and my Fujis, but let's play with a combo of white and green on this, because we certainly can in this particular design. And so to come up with white, I'm going to take some of my daisy palms, and I'm going to place a couple of daisy palms coming over on this side. So I'm placing one over here a little bit closer, and I'm going to play one a little bit farther away, coming out a little bit further over on this side. This design has got a kind of an asymmetric feel to it, and we're going to play with that a little bit on this so that we come up with an interesting effect. I'm going to come up with something similar to that over here. Let's take, again, a couple of our white daisy palms and work some daisy palms into this piece, working out over on this side of the design. And notice how a couple of daisy palms are helping to define it. And then let's play with it a little bit more in terms of some additional use of our daisy palms. I'm going to place something right over here for example, angling over towards this side, and then I'm going to gradually bring in my linear factor with another daisy palm or two. Daisy palms, of course, are a very, very good keeping flower, and they're a lovely flower to play with. They simulate a daisy or marguerite, but they hold up a lot better. And notice that I'm playing with the concept of line, but I'm playing with it using some of my daisy palms. Now, I've got a linear element coming down here. I've got a linear element coming over here. I've got something going in there. Let's play with this a little bit more because we do have enough foam area to be able to do that. And I'm going to take another one, place it down over here, and then gradually come in closer to my container. So taking another flower or two, we can gradually come in closer to our base. Notice that although this is definitely saying St. Patrick's Day, this isn't Dad or Granddad's St. Patrick Day design. This is something with a little bit more contemporary kind of feel to it, and that's the whole idea behind it. Because I want you guys to see how we can take a very, very traditional holiday and yet, using contemporary applications and materials, make it feel very, very different. Now, so far, we played with our bells of Ireland to come in here, here, and here. We've got some very interesting things going on with our daisy palms here and coming on over here. Let's add one more linear element to it. And to come up with another linear element, some of my favorite materials, some of our curly willow. We have the curly willow coming in. It's so very nice at the present time. This stuff is even showing a little bit of foliage on it. And notice, I'm using a little bit of curly willow shooting up over here. The advantage, of course, of using our curly willow is it gives us a counterpoint to our other materials. It gives contrast with the bells of Ireland. And I like the use of curly willow because it's very, very wild looking. It curves, it twists, it goes in different directions. By using it, we can come up with some really, really cool effects. And it doesn't take much. So notice, my viewer, how I'm taking some of my curly willow and I'm working it, alternating it, and gradually working it within the piece. We've got a piece shooting up here. We've got a piece over here. We've got another one kind of curling down over there. And again, in order to create a little bit of counterpoint to it, but keeping our asymmetrical kind of feel to it, I'm going to piece another one right over here. And then to make sure that we have just a little bit more visual weight, I'm going to take another one of my daisy palms and place it in here so that we have both our curly willow and our daisy palm bringing our eye right in towards the design. To cover our mechanics on this design, I'm going to take some of my sheet moss and I'm going to place a few pieces of my sheet moss in here. Some people love sheet moss in terms of covering mechanics. It's a quick and easy way of doing it. And I'm taking some of my number 20 wire hairpins and placing it in and pinning it down so that my mechanics are nice and clean and covered. And notice, my viewer, how you have very, very quickly a very, very contemporary and interesting approach on the St. Patrick's Day theme, making use of a geometric kind of container, making use of our bells of Ireland, our Fujis, a few daisy palms, and a few Fujis. Quick and easy. That's the Rittner Floral School way. Now, just to give you an idea, my viewer, this is one example of how you can come up with a very contemporary design. But I'm going to show you another design that I made prior to this demonstration that I'd like to show you as well, that is very much similar to this, but shows how a different container will give a slightly different effect. So, my viewer, let me move this for a second, and let me show you the other one, because it is essentially very, very similar in feeling, but because we used a different container, we can play with it a little differently. Once again, the same concept here. We're using a very, very contemporary kind of container on this one, and our container here is a triangular shaped container. We can get our materials into it. Using our bells of Ireland, we're defining the shape here, coming over here, coming down here. I think you can see, my viewer, how we have proceeded pretty much like the other one, shooting some of our bells of Ireland over here and a little piece over here. So that defines the design. I didn't use any of my Fujis on this one, although I could have just as easily incorporated a Fuji right over in here. Instead, taking our daisy palms, working a little in here, one over here, and a little band coming up here, and then working out over in the side. And then finally making use of, again, our curly willow material, placing some of it out here for interest, over here, here, and here. What do you think, my viewer? Quick, easy, and fun. Because here at Rittner's Floral School, we believe floral designing can be quick, easy, and fun. And in this particular video, we've shown you how you can take an oddball container or two, something that feels a little funky, and making use of a combination of your bells of Ireland, your daisy palms, a little bit of curly willow, and then in one case using a couple of our Fujis, come up with a very, very contemporary kind of an effect, something that will give you St. Patrick's Day for the 21st century. On behalf of all of us here at Rittner's Floral School, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner. We thank you for coming in and visiting our classroom today.